We already have, like, an ability already at the old referee.
Okay, everyone.
Helping us do
Our mics
the
are working. Would everybody check the mics just to make sure?
Yeah, well, then read this.
Testing.
Okay, we're all good? All right, we're going to call the meeting to order. It is 5:32.
There she is. Sorry.
And we want to go ahead and get started. We do have a quorum of the commissioners present tonight. And if we could stand and pledge a flag, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're going to start the evening with a presentation from our Softball Association, and we have Commissioner Sean and Vice Commissioner Mary here tonight to do that. So we're just going to let you go.
Hey everybody, thanks for taking the time and for letting us do this presentation. I warn everybody that my public speaking acumen is not very good. I usually stumble over my words, my brain works faster than my mouth usually, unless of course you're 12 girls with bats. This is a presentation for the past few years that we have put together. For those of you who don't know, AYSA stands for the Alpharetta Youth Softball Association. What are we? We're a nonprofit girls youth softball league. We have currently 24 volunteer board members, including 5 executive committee members with room for 1 more board member. There are no geographical limits for us to participate. Currently, 59% of all the girls that are registered are Alpharetta residents. Alpharetta City does apply a non-resident fee, but with the MOUs that we have currently available, we share non-resident fees with Alpharetta, Milton, and Johns Creek. AYSA's mission is to provide quality instruction, develop strong character, and establish good sportsmanship. We believe that every attempt should be made to enhance the experience for the players in everything that is done, be it by the board members, coaches, parents, and fans, all of us being volunteers. Our AYSA home field is North Park at Alpharetta. Those 3 pictures right there are representative of our 3 levels of our programs. The one in red is our Travel Fire program. The one in the white is our All-Star program. And the silver is one of our recreational teams. Notice there's one girl in particular that's my daughter. She has been a part of the program since she was 9 years old and is currently a junior in high school and has been at every single level. Like I said, our AYSA programs are such: rec league, all-star, and travel. Now I'll give you over to Mary to present our AYSA program.
Hi there. I'm Mary Sanford, Vice Commissioner. I'm responsible for the rec league. I've been involved with the board now for 2 years, and my daughter is in the 13+ division. Our rec league, we have seen some significant growth. We are now one of the largest and fastest growing recreation softball, girls softball leagues in North Georgia. We are made up of 5 different divisions, ranging from 6U all the way up to 13+. We have everywhere from 4-year-olds up to 18-year-olds. We have 2 different seasons. One's in the spring and one's in the fall. We just started our spring season 2 weeks ago. This last season, 464 participants. That includes both players and coaches. That's a huge increase over the prior year, and I'll show you a little bit more information on that growth. We play all at North Park with 36 teams. We have plenty of teams to play with one another. The reason for our growth, and I'll talk about that a little bit more as well, but we have added social media to our program. We now have a social media director. She started about a year and a half ago. We brought in another gentleman who handles social media for the agency, who's also going to be supporting that. We have a revamped Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, and we started utilizing Peach Jar to communicate the program out to parents of students that are in local school district. This shows you the year-over-year growth for the different seasons. Our spring season is traditionally larger. Girls don't play more in the warm weather. Plus, we have a lot of girls, older girls, that play high school can't say that all the girls came back, but a lot did, but we have a heck of a lot of new girls in this program. We saw in this last fall that increase of 40% was amazing, and that is directly the result, I think, of one of our social media and communications. Because people just are not aware of the program. I mean, we're AYSA, we're a bunch of volunteer-only parents that are coordinating the program, but as far as advertising it and letting people know about it, we were putting signs up. That wasn't really going anywhere. You know what signs we put out on the street and then blow them off the street. We became a little bit more incorporated with the Alpharetta Parks and Rec program. We had, who's the contact there that we work with on communication?
Christine.
Okay, all right. So we have this spring, we've seen significant amount of growth.
If I might interject real quick, I also like to bring it to everybody's attention that I've been on the board for about 8 years, and in those 8 years, the 304 in the fall and the 389 are well beyond record numbers that we've ever had.
All right, and this shows you kind of where we're actually seeing the growth, and kind of one of the issues that we are now facing as a result of growth. 36% of that increase are for girls 10 years old and younger. A lot of those are the ages where girls tend to begin sport. You know, parents are looking for a sport for the girls. You know, where can they go? And again, with all of the social media, they're going, aha, we have a sports program. The 12 and 13 is pretty much the same. We have some girls that come in, some that go off to travel teams. But what we're going to start seeing is that volume there is going to start trickling up every year. And I don't see any stopping with that growth. So where we're at, 475 participants or 390 girls, we should be within the next 2 years over 500 based on this. We have one park, and one of the issues that we're starting to face, and we haven't faced it in the past, starting with our practice schedules, is that we now have 5, 6, 7 new teams in this division. We practice between 6 o'clock and 7:30 for that lower division, and then from 7:30 to 9 o'clock, all of our practices are at North Park. At this point, we're actually having to start to double up on kids. We don't have enough fields for the younger girls to each have their own individual field to practice on, which is an issue that we haven't had in the past. Again, as the thing as it moves up, we'll see how it goes. We do not want to get into a situation where we have to limit this program. But I did want to make sure that y'all were aware on the growth and what we're looking at and what some of the issues may be as we go forward. Okay.
All right. That was our rec program. Our AOSA Attack All-Stars program is also doing really, really well. It's just for the spring season. We practice through the NGSL, which is the National Georgia Select League. It's completely made up of 100% of our current rec players. So any girls that are in the current season, in the spring season, will also, if they want the added responsibility and the added play level, will try out for this, depending on how many girls we get that the board thinks that can be competitive for the rest of the NGSL parks, then we'll go ahead and form teams that way. This year we had one AU. We had enough 10U girls, which also says something about the growth on the younger, for the participants of the younger girls. 2 10U teams, 1 12U team. We don't have a 13+ team because the NGSL has decided that there's not enough parks that want to participate in that, so we just decided not to do that. We are kicking around the idea of doing kind of like an intra-park, taking the best 20 girls who are interested and then having them play each other just to get that higher level of competition if they want. All the games are played on Sundays. We play in around it's everywhere from Peachtree City to Sandy Springs to some of the parks up north side, Perfect Candle Parks. They're into it a lot. But yeah, it's incredibly. It's also a good way to see if a girl wants to go to the next level, as in the travel. That's it for that. Now, as far as travel goes, it's the elite teams that provide an opportunity to the next level of competition. I believe that this is a good program to have in regards to retaining the girls that come up through the program. And the primary purpose of that is to have the girls a goal to come through, to to see these other girls that are playing at the highest level possible for their age group and want to expand and drive themselves to that. Teams are, currently we have a lot less teams than usual, but that's because there's an oversaturation right now, in my opinion, of travel ball teams. Every father that doesn't have their daughter in the position that they want to will usually, come off and say, I can do this myself, and then suddenly you got to bring in a team. So, like you said, basically you end up getting 1 to 3 girls really good on a team, and then that father will just try to pack on. So there's a less quality right now. So AYSA doesn't want to do that. They don't want to make a good travel team just for the sake of making a travel team if it's not going to be competitive. Sometimes we lose girls out of the park because of that, but most of the time, because we have this program present, we get to retain the girls that come through. The fire teams play in tournaments sanctioned by organizations throughout all of Georgia and through Florida, South Carolina, Arkansas, Tennessee. We go through usually the GSA type, the USFA, USSSA, USA, and PGF. We do have some proposed changes. AYSA Fire often gets mixed up with another organization called the Georgia Fire. To prevent that, the board has voted, and we hope there won't be any problem doing this, but changing our mascot, our team name, to, number one, reflect kind of like a next level for an Alpharetta attack. So we want to kind of like have that same Alpharetta attack, the same color structure, the blue, yellow, white. So we're kicking around some alliteration names, like Alpharetta attack would go to Alpharetta assault, or Alpharetta assassins, or Alpharetta ambush, like the soccer team that we currently have. I think that would help our team separate ourselves from, because I was a travel ball coach for 4 years for the Alpharetta Fire, and often we would get confused with the Georgia Fire about when parents come out and ask us about the program. They would say, oh, we thought you were the Georgia Fire, especially after we won a tournament. They were like, oh, you guys are the Alpharetta Fire. So honestly, we didn't even get the credit we did for playing as well as we did. So we hope that is not going to be a problem later on in the future. Since we only have 3 teams right now, we figured now would be a good time to implement it, because the current fire teams that we have would be allowed to go ahead and play out the rest of their duration as a fire. So whatever new teams that we do come up with when we get enough talent, we would implement it then. That's it for AOSA Fire. Now, Attack and Fire success has been really, really good. Attack has won 2 championships, 12U, during the summer tournament. This is a brand new team that has been doing extremely well. Currently coached by our Vice Commissioner of Travel. Finished the season at the Kennesaw State University softball complex. 8U, second place in 2 of the summer league tournaments. Each age group has had a really strong showing. Fire, 12U, 2 gold championships in the fall and 1 silver championship so far this year. 12U is listed as the state points leader in the GSA tournament, Copper Plus rating. 14U has made it to the semifinals of all their tournaments this season. Haven't been able to come home with any hardware just yet, but they're going to. And 16U won a championship and placed second this fall. They are listed as a state points leader in the GSA also. Now, when I say GSA is probably one of the lower, less competitive sanctioning bodies. But like I said, these teams are trying to get some of those wins underneath the belt, and then as they progress and get better and there's more team cohesion, they'll move up into the USA and USSSA type areas. All right, I'll let you polish it off.
And I think the other thing about the travel teams is that, again, we are a nonprofit, and a lot of the travel teams that we're competing against are profit. So, we are able to keep these costs down, for the girls, but also to help them allow them to participate in the type of programs. What we've done over the past year or so, we have implemented a coach draft for all of our teams with the exception of the 6U team. This has really helped to balance the teams so they're all relatively equal when they go out there and play one another. We've updated our rec rules rules. Each different division has its own rule. Now they have their own rule book. That helps tremendously. Pitching is a very important thing when it comes to, and catching for girls softball. There's never enough pitchers. Pitchers are highly in demand. And if you have a game at a lower level with these younger girls and you don't have pitchers out there, that can be a very long and painful game for everybody, honestly. So what we've done is we started a pilot program where we had a high school pitcher come out, and she would work and rotate around through the teams and just do one-on-one or two-on-one pitching lessons with the girls, and the coaches really like that. So this season we have some semi-professional people coming out, and they're going to be providing pitching lessons to the teams for 3 different weeks, so each team is going to be able to have 2 or 3 of their girls go out there. And again, it's just to get girls comfortable with it, get them excited about it, they can see that they can do it. We have great coaches, awesome coaches, but, a lot of them, they don't know where to start with some of these things. So this is just there to help support and develop the girls moving forward. I talked about our social media. We have 110 followers, and it's growing. I'm not super familiar with it. I just know that they said we need content. So everybody's going out of the way, making sure photos are being posted. People are tagging one another. Kind of exciting. We have, and we speak to you every year, the Philippine Tomato Scholarship. These are 2 young ladies that were part of the rec program who we lost about 5 years ago. We offer $1,000 scholarships to graduating seniors. We had 2 of those in our budget. We've been able to expand that down to 5 scholarships as a result of doing negotiations with our concessions vendor and a little negotiation with our photographer. We started a button fundraiser, and one of the coaches actually went to one of these companies and asked for a donation for this program, which is fantastic. So this year now we have 5 scholarships. We also offer a scholarship for girls that are in need that can't afford the fees. So we'll go ahead and we have an application. It's pretty simple, and we usually do a couple of those each year. Just kind of keep it on the down low, but I think it's a good thing to do. It's important to keep it going. In conjunction with the city, we do capital improvements. We did put up some new fences. Thank you very much. They were needed. Again, we saw that we grew the league. And I talked about social media being part of that, but the other part, when we look and we see, how do you hear about AYSA? And a lot of it is word of mouth. And that's kind of exciting. That seeing the same girls come back year after year, hearing that we're being referred to, seeing girls come into the program from Canton, from Sandy Springs, areas, that's because, people are talking about it. And it reflects very well on us, it reflects very well on you guys. Next slide. All right, so our goals for this year. Of course, we want to continue the registration growth. And again, our mission is to make sure that this program is accessible to any girl who wants to play softball. Number one thing is making sure that they know that it exists. We want to continue to make improvements to the park. As I mentioned, we're growing. So we are going to be looking to you all for some help. We have a representative that sits at our board meetings. We have a board meeting once a month. And we discuss what we need. They discuss what they're working on so that there's a free flow of communication. One of the areas that we do need to get done are the pitching screens, batting cages. All of these should be on your radar. I don't know how these needs are communicated to you all. Are you familiar with? Does he come back and present, or are you aware of what AYSA needs at all?
No.
Because I'm wondering, as we talk to the city representative, where that information goes.
That's Christine, right, that she's talking to, Christine Young.
Okay.
She's probably managing it just to, we're the citizens board,
Okay.
so it's good for us to know, but she's actually the one who's going to get it for you.
Gotcha. All right, well, we still need your support. Just in case. All right, so we have, again, coaches, super important. Getting those coaches in is always kind of a struggle. We send out second requests, please help, and usually they step up, and they end up loving it. And it's a great family environment. We want to continue, again, to keep girls in the program. We found, I think, that some of the high schools around here, not necessarily Alpharetta, but some of the more outlying ones, our high school softball programs have not been as strong as they can be. And a lot of that is, I don't know, why is that, Sean?
Honestly, lacrosse.
Really?
Yeah, regionally, a lot of the softball, or a lot of the high school softball programs are hurt by other sports that tend to be a little bit more popular in the area. My daughter herself goes to Centennial, and the class program in that general area, in the Roswell, where Roswell meets Johns Creek, meets Alpharetta, that area is huge on lacrosse, and that's pretty much it. But if we can foster early on at the 8U, at the 10U level, that softball better than lacrosse, then we'll go ahead and keep them there and develop a really good love and understanding of the game, and then they won't have a need to go to that. That's just my opinion as a softball coach.
No, and hey, I could lacrosse, so I'm with you on that.
But also, if you look at like the upper Forsyth area, the Forsyth County, the West Forsyth, South Forsyth, that high school area, those softball programs are really, really good. But that's because up there it's all softball, and I guarantee you, if you go up there, you would not see a very good lacrosse game. All right, AOISA continues to be the foundation for the advancement of competitive fast pitch in the region. We'll continue to effectively promote the sport while fostering a fun environment and instructional program. We strive to improve ourselves and our players. And also, on a side note, I think one of the reasons why we are growing so fast is that I do not think the other softball programs, basket programs in the area, sans maybe Murphy Candler, are doing a very good job themselves. I don't think they have been very good city support. And then because of that, they end up using only fielding maybe one, maybe two teams per division. And then they have to go intra. They have to go to other parks, which is basically like a really ineffective all-star program. But except for us, we have so many teams, and we have so many other programs that are. I almost feel bad because they're kind of losing out because we are doing such a good job that we're taking so many of these people's young ladies because they want to have the kind of experience that they have at North Park.
Can I just say, when we say good job, I mean, our games start on time. There's a good line of communication. Jerseys are there, umpires are there, coaches are there. Girls know exactly what team they're going to be on a week after evaluations. Every girl goes through evaluations. Actually, 95% go through evaluations. So there's a lot of administrative work that the board does behind the scenes that allows for this growth and for the reputation that Sean is speaking of.
I think, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any questions up here?
Yeah.
Do you offer coaches trainings? Is that something that you've got somebody?
Right in the very beginning of the season, we have a coaches meeting right before our draft. We do an orientation. We do our background checks every year. We have concussion training that's required of the coaches, and then we do a coaches training, which is required for all 6U, 8U, 10U, and brand new coaches, and that is done by Grit Academy. And Grit Academy, Jason Miller's been involved with our program for a little while. So they do, I don't want to say professional training, but this is where, trainers. So he comes out as a courtesy, and he does the training for our coaches.
Can I piggyback on that? What's the mix of coaches with daughters in the program versus just
Almost every single coach in the program has a daughter in the program. There have been instances where we haven't had that, but it's few and far between. I think I can think of maybe 3 in the past 8 years. One of them was a grandfather who had a granddaughter, and he would only coach 8U, and it'd be the same team color, the same team name would be the Minions. It was almost a staple before he finally decided to, retire from it. I think the only other instance that I can think of is when, there's a coach who sometimes coaches with his daughter who just aged out of the program, just graduated. He's still involved in our 13 plus. And other than that, maybe Tony Costanza, who volunteered, who was part of the program for a very long time at every level, and then ended up volunteering to coach one of our attack programs, or one of our attack teams. And then he also was involved in coaching our youth umpires, training some of our youth umpires so we could start that program. And then he was also responsible for creating one of our very successful fire teams later on. And now he's an umpire.
looking at? Is it more of a push-pull? Like, I've heard some of these other associations require maybe like a 3-hour training, and, you know, again, it's a volunteer, and while they should be
To be
kind of up
perfectly
to
honest,
speed.
we're casting a very wide net. We don't go out to recruit people who are that don't have a daughter in the program, but we encourage as much as possible to get the parents involved. Because there are a lot of parents out there who will sit on the sidelines and have a lot to say, but they don't want to give any time doing it. And those are the kind of the people that I kind of zero in on, going, hey,
Come on.
I want a sign up on North Park that says, before you complain, have you volunteered?
The other thing that's tough too is that, keep in mind you have your football program, but you have 20 players on a football team. We have 10 players on the team. So we need twice as many coaches out there. So it's very important that we include them. And we pair them too. And when we get the coaches registered, we get all of their information. We look at who registered. We look at the girls. We look at who's going to be the head coach. We pair up head coaches that with experience with youth parents that have not had any experience.
Seems to work.
Yeah, and half the time you get, even if you kind of strong arm, I would hate to say, strong arm somebody into, a parent into getting out there and volunteering their time, half the time I can't get rid of them afterwards. I mean, they end up loving it, and they'll stick with the program for as long as their daughter's interested.
Thanks.
Yeah, and a question. You mentioned there's participation fees, right?
Yes.
And it's 400 to 350 to 400 enrollment. So do those fees go to City of Alpharetta, or is it to your nonprofit?
Both. We collect all of the fees. The non-resident fees go directly to the city. We had 56 non-residents, about $6,043 this spring season that's going directly to the city. The balance of the money remains within AYSA. Again, we are Alpharetta. We're a nonprofit. We're just here to manage the program for you all. All right. So we have a nice bank account. We utilize that money. It's all earmarked for softball-related things. So whenever something comes up with the park, the fences, we chalked out $10,000 the city put in. I'm not sure how much. That's the purpose of that money. Stuff. And we fixing the golf cart, uniform coaches, field, areas there.
Also, probably the biggest chunk of that is going in with the city on any kind of capital improvements that go to the park. Like the sheds, our storage sheds, we're probably going to spend a quick $12,000 really soon to get the one at the quad re-sided and redone. We definitely chip in for like the fence, the fences. I believe last time we had new dirt for the entire park. I think we contributed about $20,000-$30,000 for that. Basically, I get with Chris Anderson, Chris Anderson's supervisor at the park. Any capital improvement that need to be made, we need to contribute. We do so. Other than that, everything else is uniforms, umpires, and such.
We have bylaws. We have a fiduciary responsibility to manage this money on behalf of the city, and I believe they're legislative.
Gotcha. So that's part of the MOC, just 50/50, isn't it?
A question on the fire.
Yes, sir.
The thought process behind only putting together a team when you think it's going to be competitive.
Yes.
I'm not quite sure I followed that thinking. I mean, if the girls are aspiring to get to a level, they may not be good to start with, but the competition, the playing, they see what the next level is. I was just trying to understand.
I don't
the
think
thought
there's ever
process
been
there.
a problem to where we took the 12 potential girls and said, you guys aren't good enough. We've never done that. The thing is that it's almost not how good they play or what their potential might be. It has to do with interest.
Okay, so it's not truly you deciding we don't have a good enough team to put out there. There's no interest in it.
No,
But and I'm just going back to
usually how the metamorphosis of that would be the 12 to 15 girls that come from the rec league in the spring season form that attack team, and it's almost a coin flip sometimes. 50% of the time, especially with the younger girls, these girls and the coach, you got to have a fairly experienced coach to take them to this next level. Also, 50% of the time, they will take a look at the success of that attack team and the interest that most of the girls would have, because it won't be all of them, the girls need and desire to go into the summer and play in the summer NGSL tournaments, which is a great way to gauge whether or not they're ready for it. Because the travel fire team is all just like the tournaments in the summer.
So that's almost a third season.
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
it almost
I
is
didn't
like a
understand
third
that. That's a
season.
third season. It's not.
Yes, sir. It's,
Okay.
it's 4 to 5 tournaments over a course of a month and a half to 2 months. And usually what will happen is that the coach and most of the girls will say, hey, we are ready. This team is ready. We can go. And we'll take a look. And almost all the time, we say they're ready because they can definitely go to the GSA level. And then that's how they're formed. It's always organic like that. It's never forced.
Okay. Makes sense. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Quick question. It's been a bit hazy in my memory, but I remember a couple of years ago, the MOU with Milton had impacted the program.
Yes.
Have those, like, how much of an impact was it? Did those kids come back, the MOU in place? Now I don't remember the details right now.
I think one of the reasons why we only have 3 teams right now is that we're still suffering from that impact just a little bit. Several teams that are now Georgia Fire, or a couple of teams that are now Georgia Fire teams used to be our Alpharetta Fire teams and could have stayed in the program, but because of the impact of the MOU, the coaches decided that they couldn't go out and get more players that are Johns Creek or Alpharetta residents to replace the Milton girls. There was a large number of Milton girls in that.
For the room, I mean, the impact that you're speaking of is the limitation that we cannot have a team with less than 50%
Residents,
residents.
right.
Yeah, and that, okay.
But yeah, that limitation hurt us. Bringing back Milton, I strongly feel that there will be a resurgence in our travel ball program because of it. Especially just the fact that Milton's right there next to Miller Park. There are so many girls from Milton that come into the AYSA instead of going somewhere else, which is a lot further. But yeah, it impacted us, but I think we're starting to heal. I think the wounds are starting.
I mean, impact of our, teams have to be dissolved.
Like 30 girls, like how big an impact approximately was it?
I would go with 12, 24, 20. I'd go with about 27 girls. Now, granted, not all of those girls were coming up through the AYSA program. But I'd say about 28 girls, 2 teams. Of note, it would be Sal Garcia's 07 team, which is now currently a Georgia Fire team, and then Shane Jackson's 06 team, which is now currently a Georgia Fire team.
So it left the park. And in its entirety because of that.
Yes, basically the coaches. Actually, no, you know what? There's a little bit more. There was Robert Cochran took a younger team to Georgia Fire also. But if that MOU had never been dissolved, those 3 teams would most likely, I couldn't guarantee it, but they would most likely still be in the Alpharetta Fire.
Thank you.
Morgan, what is the standing now with the, who counts as a resident for softball now?
Currently, Alpharetta, Johns Creek, and Milton.
Oh, okay. So we're back.
Yes.
Good, yeah. So that's
AYSA extremely
and thank you
happy
for
to
that.
have one back.
Yeah, I should say thank you. Huge thank you for allowing them.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just curious where Georgia Fire practices out of and plays out of.
Well, see, these other programs don't have specific area. I mean, every AYSA fire team gets use of North Park exclusively, thank God. But the other programs, these for-profit programs, the coaches have to go secure their own. A lot of it is they have to pay high schools to use theirs or other parks. The only other park that I am aware of, or the only other couple of parks, would be like an Atlanta Flames organization, which is basically AYSA Fire as to Murphy Candler. They get to utilize the Murphy Candler Park, but these other programs, I mean, honestly, the influx of these programs, like there's now the Georgia Thunderbolts, which was the Birmingham Thunderbolts, but it's spreading. The Vipers organization, so many others, Lady Royals. I can go on. I keep going on about how many chemical organizations, big buck organizations too, that have like a lot of resources, but at the same time, they probably cost their parents 3 times as much. I think that's one of our draws, is that we keep our travel ball program nice and low, and that's because we have North Park as one of our facilities.
Any other questions? Sean, Mary, thank you for everything
Thank
you
you.
do.
Thank
These
you for
organizations,
coming.
we know the time and effort you put into these things.
Thank you.
So thank you very
so
much
Well,
for
that's gonna
everything
make
you
her
do.
feel happy.
Thank you, though, we appreciate it. Thank you for hearing us out on all this. All right.
Thanks, Morgan. Thank you, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. We're going to go ahead and go back to approve our commission meetings of 2/14. If we could have Chantel abstain from this, I would appreciate it. The minutes have been distributed. Are there any corrections?
Chairman, yes, there are a couple of corrections that came through. First one that I want to note is that on the February 14th, 2023 minutes of the Recreation Commission meeting, on page 9, there was a change from, I had listed Mid-Broadwell, and this should have been Webb Bridge, so that's been updated. There are also changes to both the workshop and the meeting minutes in which I have the Q&A section, and has been requested that a subject be listed as an identifier related to those questions in particular, so that will also be added. And then also for the workshop meeting minutes, Commissioner Rand had mentioned the word pervious, and I had written impervious, so that has also been updated.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Rand.
Commissioner Rand, reading the minutes.
With the adjustments that have been made, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Oh,
We approve.
you gotta read this.
I move to approve the minutes as written and changed.
Do I have a second?
I second.
It has been moved that Commissioner Norton and seconded by Commissioner Saha that we approve the minutes as written and amended from the February 14th, 2023 Recreation Commission meeting. I will now call for a vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, the motion passes 7-0. And now we want to go to the workshop, and we will include the same corrections. And Chantel and Carla, can we please abstain on this one? The minutes have been distributed. We've talked about the corrections, and they have been amended. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes as written February 22nd, 2003 Recreation Commission workshop with the amendments.
Can I have a second?
Second?
It has been moved by Commissioner Bowers and seconded by Commissioner Kagan that we approve the minutes as written and amended for the February 22nd, 23rd Recreation Commission workshop. I'll now call for a vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, the motion passes 5-0. There is no old business and there is no new business to discuss as of now. So we're going to get to staff presentations, and we're going to go to community services to start. Good evening.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good.
Great. So for community services, update for this month, believe it or not, Taste of Alpharetta is 8 weeks away.
Wow.
So plans are coming along really nicely. We're really excited and looking forward to this being the biggest and best Taste of Alpharetta yet. So this is the 31st annual. So it's great. But 8 weeks is coming up quick. The community garden renovations at Old Rucker Farm are complete. So come by and check it out. We had all the beds removed, had sand and then stone put down to prevent the ants from getting up into the individual rented garden plots, and that has all been done. So it looks fabulous, and it's really going to help out with our mowing this year, which is all done by a volunteer. And so that'll make that much easier.
They won't mow over the rocks.
No, they won't have to.
Yeah.
They won't have to. So we'll probably use our flame weeder, which will be really fun. Great fun. And so some things coming up on the horizon. Another, believe it or not, is April 1st, the farmer's market opens. So that's in 2 weeks. It's amazing that that's already coming around. Our big community work day at Old Rucker Farm is April 22nd. So that's the biggest one of the year. We usually have over 100 people coming out that are just our members and their family. And we've also had Rivers Academy ask to participate this year, and they're going to bring 50 to 60 students. So it'll be a very big day of lots of volunteers. This is going to be our second annual partnership of a plant sale in partnership with GNPS, which is Georgia Native Plants Society, on April 29th. So that'll happen at Old Rucker. And an exciting thing that's going to also happen the same day is that the garden fair, which has historically been hosted at Bullock Hall in Roswell, will take place at Wills Park on the same day. So it's going to be lots of plants, lots of plant sales in Alpharetta, 3 in 1 day. So you'll have your decorative ornamentals at Wills Park, your native plants, and your edible plants and herbs at Rucker. And we'll have a shuttle going between the 2 spaces. So
Is that the same weekend? Did the garden club also choose that weekend? I saw in the...
It's on the 22nd.
Oh, it's on the 22nd.
Oh, okay. On the 22nd. I didn't know about that one.
'Cause
So it's the week prior.
They want to switch it to the 29th and just join in the fun? There'll be all these people shopping for plants.
There'll be lots of plants. And so that's it. That's it for community services.
Any questions for Amanda?
Well, I do, but should I bring it up later? So there was an article in the paper.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of suggested, well, 'cause 2 things. It kind of suggested, first off, that Milton is currently involved in the Grow a Row at Old Rucker Farm. Is that the case?
No, that is not the case. Our Grow Row program at Old Rucker Farm, and in fact, everything at Old Rucker Farm is exclusively run by the city of Alpharetta.
Did you see this? Did you read it?
I did read that. Mm-hmm.
Did you think that it said the same?
I didn't read it that closely, I have to admit, and I read it just before this meeting. So I'll have to read it again, Cheryl, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I misunderstood or whatever. Yeah, okay. All right. The other thing that was in this same article went on to say that Jim Gilvin was concerned about something. He just seemed, I felt like it was concerned about the number of people the amount of staff we have at the farm.
I think he asked if there would be more staff added at the commissioners' meeting last month, Morgan, when you spoke about that. And I think he addressed the question to you, if I heard him right.
Yes, he did. So so there's a couple of things. First, let me clear up and be very I guess forward on this, is that
Great.
Milton is not involved in any way at the old Rucker Farm.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, there are some residents from Milton that volunteer at the farm, but the city has absolutely no input into what's happening at Old Rucker Farm.
So I'm just gonna read what this says. As part of Milton's goal to hone agritourism, the project would increase food security for local families and expand production at the 2.5 Old Rucker Farm, 2.5 acre Old Rucker Farm, a joint program between the cities of Milton and Alpharetta.
So I think that's the project that we're
At
talking
Mayfield.
about is a joint.
And it's
At Mayfield.
at Mayfield. So
I think
perhaps the
there's probably
location.
a comment there that's needed to pause they were describing that, but it was the project as a joint. The project being the possibility of a Grow a Row program
At Mayfield.
at Mayfield.
So perhaps it was just the mistake of the location?
Yes.
And then maybe that's the typo there.
And then
Okay.
Mayor Gilvin's questions were basically, there was a couple questions that weren't in there, and his first question was, are we going to duplicate Old Rucker at Mayfield? And the answer is no, we're not. Our intent is not to have another Old Rucker farm at Mayfield.
Okay.
So and then he went on to say is that, when what he's referring to, and he's correct, when we took the farm from Whole Foods said, we're gonna give you the farm. I basically said, it's not gonna require any city resources for us to take that farm. Now, once we got into it and we got such good input from the citizens want to, there have been some city resources that's been used. So he wants to make sure that we know up front what we're committing to, so that we're not, that he just wants to make sure we know what we're committing to. Because we didn't know before. When we got the farm, we were making it up as we go along. This group, the group that was here knows that somebody said, well, here, we'll give you a farm. We said, yeah. And then we had to make it up as we go along. So I think his point is that let's make sure that we know, as we're doing this jointly with Milton, that we know where we're going and what resources it will take to get there, so that we're not surprised.
Fair enough.
So
On the Mayfield side.
On the Mayfield side. So
absolutely. And so let me explain, just I guess for the records, what the Grow Road program is. The Grow Road program is a part of the old Rucker program. It's not the whole program, but it is a program where we have rows of production that are done by volunteers, and that food is taken and given to the North Florida Community Charities. So what the idea is that we, North Florida Community Charities and other folks in our community, need fresh produce that they don't necessarily have access to or can't afford. So the idea is we're going to take that Grow Road program and duplicate that program in Mayfield with volunteers at the Mayfield farm, so we could produce more to give more to North Florida Community Charities. So that's the only program right now that we're talking about moving forward. Because of the history, is that the MOU that the city of Alpharetta and the city of Milton signed said that at some point in time we're going to do an IGA that's going to outline what we're going to do in the future. So we had to go to the mayor and council on both cities and say, oh, is it okay now for us to talk about doing a joint program? And both cities nodded. And with the mayor's questions, he was still nodding, but he had questions. And so now the city of Milton and the city of Alpharetta staff are going to put together a program, and it'll come back up through the ranks, through this group. We'll tell you what we're going to do, and then we still have to make that presentation to the mayor and council, which will include an IGA for the use of the park and an MOU for the Grow Road program. So we still got lots of hoops to jump through. That's probably more information than you needed, but it's just easier to tell you the whole story than it is to give you just a snippet.
Okay. We'll find out if you don't.
Do we have any other questions? Yes, Commissioner.
Just a
I like the question.
just a commentary. I attended the North Fulton Masters Gardeners lecture this past Saturday, and I enjoyed it. Learned about fig trees, and I hope you guys continue to publish those types of events for us to join.
Sure,
That was progressive.
we can do that.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thanks, man.
I think I'm going to stay
Can we
here.
go to cultural services? Are we going to go?
Can we jump around?
Recognition?
Yeah, I'll go back. I'm going to present for Christine this evening. So, do Rec Commission. So I've got for Recreation Commission, Recreation Division, I've got the activity guide. Thank you. If anybody needs one, do you already have one and don't need one?
Yeah, I think she-
we'll take it back because
I got one of these.
you have one.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe at the workshop or
Yeah.
something, yeah.
Yeah, we got
Great.
it.
But if you got a neighbor, that would,
Yes.
because they're nice, yeah.
So Christine asked me to share with you all that registration is going gangbusters, it's going great right now, and we're currently still just in resident-only registration. We haven't opened up registration to non-residents. Things are going really well. Non-residents registration, it begins on the 22nd. And if there's any other questions that you have, you can let me know, and I'll send them to Christine, or you can reach out to her directly.
So as Christine.
Yes?
The gentleman that was here, I don't remember, Sean, said that he speaks to you annually, I'm guessing annually, and gives you an idea of the things that they need. So like that you would know that they need these batting cages or whatever.
Mhm.
And you don't come to us to talk about that stuff, but he had on his list like a turf field.
Can I jump in?
But she's Christine.
So let me jump in as Christine. I would tell you that if you looked at that list closely, it was a need list and a wish list.
Okay,
The turf field is on the wish list, so we don't even need to talk about the wish list.
great, okay.
Because there's no way, I've got a wish list too of the city, and I
We
know
all
I'm
have
not
wish
going to get
lists.
my wish list. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a wish that they were going to have, but that, I don't see that coming anytime soon. The other things on their list, we were talking with them. They come, it does filter down through Chris, but Chris Anderson goes to the meeting, as well as Alan, I can't think of Alan, who's on the recreation side, goes to those meetings as well. And they bring that information back, and we have conversations. So
Okay.
we're well aware of the things that are on that list.
Okay,
So,
right. Okay,
and
fair
that's
enough.
and that's just part of the budget process, where we work through those to bring those budgets forward, what we can and can't. But we
Okay.
do that same thing with
All of
AYBA,
them.
we do that with football, we do it with Ambush, so we're doing that with all of the programs that we have. And we can drill down on any of those you want
No,
to
no, I was just
at
curious.
any time.
I was just-
I know, so I just wanted to, yeah.
Okay, so no other questions?
No, thank you, Christine.
Let me, can I say one more thing? Usually what that is when they come to us with a need, we usually will match 50% of their funds. We find out how bad they want it. So if they want this done, and then they can bring 50% of the fees, then we'll do it. They want that building, they want new siding on the building, we'll find out how bad they want the building, the siding on the siding. But we have a really good relationship with our associations, so.
I sure hope, yeah.
I don't know how to do this, but propose, maybe I'll talk to this group first, but maybe we have just one workshop where all four of those, or not everybody come and present, but at least what y'all are working on with those four different organizations.
They're-
I mean, not next time, obviously, but
They're
at some
supposed
point
to,
during the year, to just, a workshop dedicated to how all four of those interact. Are they going well? Are they not going well? What their needs are? What our needs are? I mean, I'm sure the city of Alpharetta gets a lot of advantage having them here, but maybe we just don't know what those are.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Amanda.
We can certainly get that added, that's, we can.
I don't know if we get them all at one time, it'll be a long night.
Sure.
So, yeah. So, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Good to see you. I have a pretty quick update here on a couple things we've talked about before, but they were kind of on hold through the winter months, and now they've resurfaced and we're launching them. So I wanted to kind of let you know that's happening. We had some visuals, as the art folks, we always have visuals here. So we may not have those, and that is okay. If you remember the crosswalk that we were doing at the pool, Here Comes the Sun, we'll be painting it the week of spring break.
oh, okay.
So we'll be placing the barricades, closing off that little parking area. You'll still be able to come in both sides, but we're trying to get it done before the pool is open for the summer. So we'll be painting that. And then we also have the Pocket Park performance permit. I have to look at that. We also reference it as the 4 Ps in the office. And we actually launched that today. And do you recall what that was? We presented it last year. And so that is online now for people to apply. And as far as anyone actually being out doing performances, we expect that to be towards the end of April if we receive applications. But we're just starting to promote it as of this week.
They get to pick any park, or is it just, have you narrowed down which park they can do this in?
4 locations. There's only 4 locations. And I'm glad you asked that because I needed to let you know. We sent it out to the special events team, the email that Hillary and Amanda's team sends out. That includes officers, inspections team, everyone. So every performer has a badge, and it identifies them that they were approved for the program. So there's 4 locations. It's the park up by Milton Avenue. What's the name of the park? We got the name wrong today. North Main Street Park, and the park that's where the old oak tree is on Old Roswell Street, where the food truck Alley takes place. And then the two other parks are the one down by La Casa, where the fountain is, and the opposite fountain on the other end across from Nest.
Okay.
So we try to do kind of smaller gathering points, but still downtown for them to play.
Great.
Will you share like who the performers are so people can maybe go to a specific one, or?
We weren't really promoting them like that, like a concert. We were doing it a little bit more organic,
Okay.
but we're happy. They'll have a sign-up genius.
Okay.
And so we could always share. If you reached out, we could share with you. So
They're all on the west side of, none of them are over here.
it kind of worked out that way. We're doing a beta test for the first 6 months, and then we were asked to bring it back to council, how the program went. So those were the 4 best locations that we could come up with. Once we got into Brook Street Park, we got into a lot of overlap with other events and putting in event applications and other performers. So we just decided to keep it in a good beta test zone. So moving forward with other cultural happenings this month, and actually through April, Down Home on the Farm, that's our gallery show at the Art Center. It'll be through in the gallery through March 18th, so if you haven't seen it, please come out. That was a partnered event with Arts Alpharetta and the Alpharetta Old Milton County Historical Society. So they both have items in there. It's a really neat show if you haven't seen it. A Song Can Change Your Life podcast, and there was a release, so please hop on and take a listen to that. That's our one program that actually gets worldwide attention. People listen everywhere, so it's kind of neat to see that. Love, Sex, and the IRS, they had their first showing last weekend. It was a great show. I heard there were a lot of laughs, and they have another showing this coming weekend, so please come in. Silent Sky by Act One. I believe that Morgan, did you present that last month? I was not here. I was out of town. And the show is running at Innovations Theater. And so I think we sent out opportunity for tickets to everybody. We would love to have you come out. Please come out and support Friday, Saturday, and Sunday matinee for this weekend and the following weekend. Black and White will be the Alpharetta Art Center Gallery show, the next show coming up. If you have not been to an opening reception, Arts Alpharetta, we partner with them on the gallery shows. They provide wine, they have appetizers and desserts. Please come out. You can meet the artist. We have great turnouts. We have music, so please come. Shakespeare in the Park in Midsummer Night's Dream will be starting in April. Organic Fanfare, Alpharetta Symphony Orchestra will have a show on Friday, April 21st. And then, as we mentioned earlier, the Alpharetta Garden Club plant sale. And I'll check with them and see if they want to do the 29th.
Because there are already
I don't
going
know.
to be people in Wills Park buying plants, Might as well.
I'll check with them. So, any questions?
No questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Park Services, Eric.
Hello.
Hey.
I don't have a whole lot. I need glasses, though. So Ambush had a very successful opening day on March 4th out at Innovation North Park and Webb Ridge, except, of course, for the upper field at Webb Ridge. It was a little too wet. We had that rain Thursday and Friday right before opening day, so yeah, that was fun. Anyway, we're writing up a request for proposal, an RFP for the trash receptacles in the downtown area. This RFP will, include emptying, obviously, the receptacles, quarterly cleaning, pressure washing the exterior and the plastic liners inside, and just waste management at some of the bigger special events, really just an hourly rate of hiring a company to work the events. We're also going to replace the declining landscape behind City Hall and Brook Street Park. This will not include any tree replacements in the city center, so in the tree wells. So this, what we're working on behind City Hall will not include any of the trees out front, which there are a few of those that need to be replaced as well. We're also working on pricing to either restore or replace the decorative fountains in the formal garden here.
Why is that? What's wrong with those fountains?
Well, basically, just over time, and the chemicals we use, or, you know, the company uses it, you know, you can see the rust color in them. So there's actually a iron pipe that runs up the center of the 3-tier, which is rotted, so the water only goes up so far, it won't go to the top. It's all, you know, coming out, so it needs to be either replaced or restored. So what we're gonna do is, likely we're gonna restore it. The problem with that is,
Can we use something besides an iron pipe in the middle?
I mean, I was thinking that we might be able to go with plastic, but the guy's like, you need to, you know, it needs to be completely restored. And well, you can see the rust color on that one, as well as the lion head fountains.
The
So they
lion
all-
heads are over here against this wall, right?
Correct, yeah. So all, you know, everything's iron, and so it's rusted. You know, you can see the rocks discolored and things like that, so it's just gonna get worse if we don't, you know.
It doesn't add character?
It does, but it doesn't add, it does, but it doesn't add much character when the water's not coming up the top.
Yeah, no.
So but the worst part about it is, you know, it's not cheap, number one, and number two, it's, you know, they have to remove the fountains in order to do these things, so we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. So we're also working on pricing to repair as well as add additional power lines to a lot of the tree wells around City Center. So basically, we're working on getting prices to add power to Park Plaza, and there's some out here on, not on Commerce, but on Marketplace and North and South, that a few of the tree wells are missing outlets. Of course, some of them need repair as well. So we're working on pricing for that. And that concludes my report.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, of course. Why do they need outlets in all the tree wells?
Well, they don't need in all the tree wells, but there's one. But we definitely need the ones that have power in there now. Everything has to be, well, first of all, some of them have to be moved because, you know, when you open your car door, in some of the spots, your door hits the outlet, and, you know.
Breaks
So
it.
some of those, they need to be relocated in some of the tree wells. And then you have some random tree wells that don't have power, will look like they should. So, and that would be more towards Marketplace and North and South. You know, Park Plaza is more of a want, you know, or well, just to see what it would cost to do so.
Eric, was that money already budgeted to replace the fountains?
No. About
Coming out of
$1,000 a
Morgan's
pound.
budget.
Well, we did put some money in for that, but it's, come to find out, it's not enough. So yes, there was monies budgeted for it, but
Keep in mind, that's one of 4 fountains like that we own. There's 4 in the city.
Do we have any trouble, do we have the same rusting problems with all the rest of them?
no,
It's a different kind.
they're different metals.
This is be honest with you, this is a younger fountain than the ones across.
Well, that's what I thought. That's why I'm wondering, if we can't be replacing them so fast, we gotta get better fountains that'll last longer. I mean, Trevi Fountain's been there for hundreds of years, and it's still, well,
So the fountains,
That thing ain't working. And a lot of times that thing ain't working.
so the fountains, like the smaller one, like where La Casa was, and then, you know, across from Nest, those are, you know, those were like pot metal. So it's a different material than these, like these here are iron. That's why those are getting the rust at those, but the pot metal's a little different.
so maybe we do that, oh, well, whatever, y'all do something, but I just don't think we need to be buying fountains constantly. Okay, you don't wanna be buying them either.
What do you want to make it a shuffleboard court or
No, we can put another fountain, but let's not do another iron one.
pave over it?
Any other questions?
No, we can turf it, because that's my
Okay.
favorite.
Thank you, Eric.
Okay, thank you.
Willis Park in the equestrian.
I hate that
Man,
turf. Okay, I just hate it.
How are you?
Okay.
I'm doing
I'm
well,
sitting
thank
next to a turf lover. What can I say? This is Dennis's fault. He sits me here.
So unfortunately, our opening day for baseball was canceled. The rains on Friday that moved through was just a little bit Barry wasn't going to let him play on his field, basically. So we made that call that we would just skip that celebration this year, but they're back playing. We also had Arbor Day that day and planted a new serviceberry tree over by the community garden, which was nice.
Looks nice.
Very saturated, but
It's going to be well watered.
it is going to be very well watered. That same weekend, we had a huge horse show with 230 horses at the facility. So there was, it was very, very busy. All the shows have been very well attended this year. Just a lot of people were showing, which is a good thing. A lot of people are excited about our new improvements, the new arena. We were able to come in and add a new horse show in February. And so with that show, they were so impressed that we actually booked two more weeks with them in December. So,
In December?
Yes,
Wow.
in addition to our calendar. So it was a, yes. Brad, it never stops. We don't stop. So, our new maintenance facility, we're getting close. I know the fire suppression system was being started today. Staff's really excited to get in that building. So, we're hoping around the first part of April, to get our CO for that building. We've got our paving PO approved for some of the spots on the trail. We're just trying to get on their schedule. With the weather and stuff, everybody's busy. So once we get on their schedule, we'll get that done. And then the reforestation project at the rec center playground is they planted. I don't know if you've been by there, but they should be done with their plantings by the end of the month. So then they're responsible for maintaining and keeping those alive for 2 years. So it's going to look really different. It looks nice. So
Is this the plan that the Rotary came up with? Is that what happened?
no, this was a grant that Will Eberly from over at Public
Yeah.
Works has kind of spearheaded, and he was able to get that grant. I believe it was around $250,000 for this project. So, and it basically just stabilizes the stream banks for the future. So that's my report.
Any
Y'all have
questions?
any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. The
Shoot,
trash pile along Rucker Road, along Old Milton from the,
From the field.
from the field. Can we
Yes.
be done with that?
That's a very good question. I was just talking about that today. So
Uh-huh.
we have them coming back. They're going to come in and finish that field. We're hoping spring break.
Oh, I thought they were finished. I thought in the last report it said they pushed out, they were finished.
We were finishing some.
I said it was playable, but we still have work to do.
That's correct. So we've got about a week's. They have about a week's worth of work to finish up.
And they need that trash to do it?
Yes.
That material.
I'm looking if they're now. So we're trying to work around the baseball schedule now, and if they can't meet the week of spring break, then it's going to have to be after the season. And if that be the case, then we're going to relocate that stuff because I'm tired of looking at it this way. And I know Morgan's tired of looking at it as well.
Yeah, as much as I hate to look at it, I see it as much as anybody here, it is not trash. It is it's what they need to finish the job.
Right, yeah.
It might look like
It looks like
but
trash.
It's not trash. It is the equipment and the thing and the parts that they need to finish the job.
Right.
So,
Okay,
Yeah.
all right,
So we're hoping spring break.
okay.
If not, we're going to get moved.
When is spring break?
First week of April.
Yeah.
First full week of April.
Yeah. First or second.
Kids.
April 2 through 9.
Yeah. okay.
Public schools, Fulton
Thank you,
County
ma'am.
Public Schools. I
Thank
don't
you.
know about, is that the same for y'all?
Project manager?
You're the second week of April?
Talking to me again.
You're the first week of April. You're the first week of April, right?
Good evening.
Evening.
So Matt talked about a couple bullets at the very beginning, so I'll jump right to the bond overview. We're moving along, progressing, finally really making some progress with all of our projects. Old Rucker Park, the design concept was approved by City Council. That was workshop with the Rec Commission last month on March the 6th. Waters Road, the construction plans, 50% were presented and have been reviewed and the comments sent back to them, so that's moving along. Mid-Broadwell Park, public bids for the site work are due on March 23rd. March 23rd. That's actually a typo. I said February 23rd. Should be March 23rd. It went out on February 23rd. Wedbridge Park, the artificial turf project, as we mentioned before, the sewer and the turf projects have been split out. The sewer project will be going first, and they've gone out for proposals for that work. We'll get those, for design. And then we will work that design, work that project, and then as that progresses, start to schedule the turf installation design. No real progress on farmhouse site for Wills Park proper. We have some preliminary.
Since this is a public meeting, let me. There has been some progress made on farmhouse, and I haven't had a chance to update Kurt on this. But one of the issues with the farmhouse project was access to the farmhouse project, as everybody knows. The QT is there. There was a development going in behind that, and they were not successful. And then so we have asked Kathy Cook, who is our economic development director, to talk with the new owners, and the new owners have indicated that they're open to giving some temporary parking and giving us access. Now, nothing has been signed, but I wanted the public to know that there has been some progress made on that.
Well, that's nice.
I'll keep you updated on that, because that's without access, we can't build much of a park without access. So we have access. It's because off of Old Milton at the corner, that's straight
Down.
So, just wanted to give that in case, because I know a lot of folks might be listening. I want to make sure that there has been
Folks listening.
As far as Wills Park, and on the athletic side, or what we refer to as proper, we've had a second round of meetings with the design team. We're making great progress. The staff is happy with the concepts that they presented, and as that gets to a certain point, we will workshop that. As well as the equestrian center, we're going to have the first round of preliminary concepts this month, at the end of this month. So hopefully these two projects will start moving along. As far as Union Hill Park is concerned, we intend to have a workshop for that for the Rec Commission this month, and then of course go for approval on April 17th with the intent to have the construction plans moving forward and approved at the end of April. So that's also going to be kicking off as well. So we're really close on getting most of our parts through construction plans. In Mid-Broadwell Park, we're very close of actually starting breaking ground. So we're pleased with that. Any questions? Yes.
What I think I heard you say was that after our workshop for Old Record Park went straight to City Council and they approved it, it doesn't come back here in this forum.
No.
One of the outputs of that workshop was requesting a description of, say, what the natural playground was going to be. Like, what was presented to City Council on that front?
We at the meeting, at the workshop meeting, we have council. I mentioned that was one of the requests. I told them that we're working on that request. When we don't have enough we got to sit down with the designer and come up with exactly what that's going to be.
They approved concept only.
Right. So,
correct.
So that's one of the questions, and that we're tracking from the commission, and we'll come back with you when we have that answer. It'll be a couple of months before we're able to answer that question. We'll be able to answer that question.
Was there any discussion at City Council on these park projects, or was it more a presentation and acceptance? Sorry, I missed it.
It was more presentation and acceptance. We did a workshop, and I don't gosh, the meetings are starting to run together, and I can't remember if there were any.
I don't think there was any further discussion.
Yeah, I don't think there was any discussion on that.
Thank you.
Okay.
The Union Hill Park, did they do a survey? Did they post a Survey Monkey survey, or with the old Rucker Farm, there was a survey that went around and people.
Yeah, I mean, they, no,
I'm sorry.
Dan Merkel posted, I saw one today. I guess it was on Facebook
the,
or
the, the
something.
online survey for Union Hill Park is ongoing now.
Okay, and it's online, I can see
Yes,
it if I want,
yes.
so I can make my comments?
Yeah,
Okay.
and the goal is to have that completed.
How do you
so
think
we
I could
can-
find it if I wanted to
yeah.
look for it online? Do I have to go to like to this?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, same way with Old Rucker. It's online and get feedback from
Is
the
that right,
public.
Amanda?
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer it. You can find it on the city's website, on the Parks Bond page.
Okay.
The link to that survey is there, and it's going to be the exact same questions as you saw in the Rucker, where you just
Okay.
put in your zip code, how close you live to it, and then your house.
Okay. I didn't have to do that last time. Last time I got an email that said click here, and that was way easy. So I will go find this. I'm clever.
I can send it to you.
No, I can do this. I can do this by myself.
Any other questions?
Any questions for Kurt? No, thank you. No report.
Really?
Wait a minute. No, you can't. The last minute said that you were going to tell us about the retreat at this meeting. So we're here.
Right, and that information has not yet been
Oh.
determined. If there is no, so what's coming out from the retreat is there's going to be an action report as well as a working report, and that has not been officially given out yet. As soon as we have that, I will give it to the council commission.
I guess Amanda was up there taking the minutes. She.
Do any of the commissioners have anything to discuss or report? We do not.
I wanted to
Go
mention, so on the Old Rucker Park, we had the community feedback, and I remember the output was that there were a lot of ideas presented, but nothing stood out sufficiently enough to alter the design, which is great feedback. How do you share that back with the public? Because if the public doesn't know that we had this meeting to review it, they'll look at it as, hey, we gave all this feedback, and it doesn't feel like any of that was incorporated. How do you position that publicly?
That sounds like something for Facebook.
Yeah. I don't know, Commissioner, exactly how to answer that, because since none of the comments were other than don't do anything. There was a couple of those don't do anything comments. There weren't any that were,
I mean, someone said like pickleball, basketball, they had all different concepts out there, like whatever it might be. But we heard it all, but at least some point, like, hey, we appreciate your feedback, we found nothing, like something to share, like we've heard you, and because of the overwhelming, we're going forward with the plan as whatever, just something, some sort of output of that, even to the 78
Acknowledgement,
respondents
yeah.
that.
Acknowledgement of
Yeah.
their comments.
and
Yeah,
that's fair.
that's a good idea. Does anyone else have anything? Public comment? That's going to be no. And if we don't have any other questions, comments, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
It had been moved by Commissioner Rand and seconded by Commissioner Beach that we adjourn the meeting at 6:51 p.m. I now call for a vote. All those in
Right
favor?
hand. All right, right hand.
All those opposed? 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.